decorator for this panel, a voice actor, and an artist who contributes to all sorts of things. You may know him, and you're going to get to know him today. Please welcome to the stage, Ed Templar!
Goodness me, MCM, that's a hell of an audience. How we doing?
Alright, thanks.
Any fans of Baldur's Gate 3 in? I didn't think so. With no further ado, there's a lot of these people who are coming onto this panel. We've got cast and we've got crew. This is going to be amazing. And we're also going to give you guys a chance to ask some questions later on in the panel. So get thinking, get those brains whirring so that you can ask some questions to these people. But without any further ado, let's please welcome to the stage the amazing cast and crew of Baldur's Gate 3! The cast and crew of Baldur's Gate 3, everyone! We're doing it, it's real! Goodness me, now that's an audience reaction. Hello everyone, how are we doing?
We're good.
We're gonna have to sort of share the mics around. I think backstage someone said, pretend you're all friends and share the microphones, but we're all here together. So, welcome to us. Have any of you guys done any of these shows before? That's a no.
No.
No?
We could
All
not
excited.
resist.
Because we've had some of the other members of the Baldur's Gate 3 cast here before. We've had Devra, we've had Neil, we've had Jennifer English. Who? I don't think, no one's ever heard of them. No one cares about Astarion or anyone like that, do they? Booze. I was joking, please don't hurt me. Okay, so guys,
I was playing Baldur's Gate last night. I am on Twitch.
what's your handle? What's your username?
I'm afraid I dumped Astarion from my gathering party. And I think I should exit this room now for fear of reprisals.
Well guys, I think the first thing we should do, because there's what I believe is referred to as a shit ton of you, we should try and go down and introduce yourselves to our one-for-one so they know who you are and the part you play in this magnificent masterpiece. Why don't we start with you?
Hello. My name's Beth Park. I was the senior voice director and senior casting director. Worked on it for 4.5 goddamn years of my life. And yep, that's probably all you need to know.
The squirrel.
And I was also the squirrel that you can kick. But we don't talk about that. It's
No.
very traumatic for me.
I'm George Taylor, and I also did 4 years. I don't know about half. Was I there then?
Can't remember.
But at least 4 goddamn years. And I was very lucky to play Ronan.
My, what manner of killer is this? Hello, I'm Andrew Wincott, and I played Raphael. And Harlem. And I started 4.5 years ago on this game. It feels like a lifetime, but that would be the case in the 9 hells. Where's your BAFTA, Andrew? Where is the BAFTA?
I mean, let's give it up for a BAFTA winning performance. Here's a question, as a BAFTA winner, do you get a title? You know, when you get a degree or so it says as a BSc, do we have to call you my lord or anything of the such? Your Honour?
Your wife put BA after my name. I've already got one of those.
I'm going to change title with you as we go through, Your Honour.
BAF.
And we'll move on to the other sofa.
Hello, I'm sofa number 2. I'm Kirsty Gilmore, and I was one of the voice and performance directors, and I worked on it for almost 4 years.
Hello, I'm Tilly Steele. I was a voice director on the game and also act in it just through nepotism, I guess.
Not true, definitely not true.
I did have to audition, but I did beg also. And big fan of the Baldur's Gate series. So this is great.
When we were backstage, Tilly said to me, I met Beth at a birthday party, and that was it. Oh, there's got to be more to the story than that. No? Okay, right. My mistake.
Yeah, I mean, we just got on, didn't we? And then it was actually Jennifer English's birthday party, because we started like DMing on Instagram during lockdown, and then we just hit it off. And I was like, by the way, I'm a massive fan of Baldur's Gate, and I think that was not what you were expecting me to say, right?
I was like, oh, okay, well, you could come along if you want and just come and see what it's like, because I didn't really think that was a big deal, but turns out
To me, it was.
Actually
Spent many years playing Baldur's Gate 2 alone in my room for many years, so it was a big deal for me. So.
No, Josh, it's you.
Hi, my name is Josh Wheaton and I was the lead voice and casting director of Baldur's Gate 3, working on it for just over 5 years, so from the ground up,
Wow.
right beginning to the bitter end.
Goodness, and then last but certainly not least,
My name is Neil, not Newborn. My name's Neil Newborn. Neil Holmes did say, darling. My name's Neil Roberts, and I play the vicious Dark Urge. Yes, can you resist? I was on Twitch last night. Baldur's Gate 3, and I could not resist. I tried to kick a squirrel, but I missed, and instead, apparently, I destroyed everyone in the grove or something. Yeah, people didn't think I'd survive, but I did. But my son said I'm on easy mode. So when I get home tonight, I'm going to put honor mode on. And I have ADHD and never stop talking.
one of the best things about doing these panels is the frenzy that the amazing audience have for every single one of you and the part you played in this. Josh, Beth, let's talk about this, because you guys started this very early on and you were part of the casting for it. So when something like this is lifting off the ground, as you put, what are sort of the foundation things? Were you part of just sort of reading this 2 million word script kind of thing and going, we've got to cast some of these parts?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a big... When you do video games, there is there's thousands of characters you need to associate and actually find people to play. Obviously, you can't cast them all individually. Thank you very much indeed. As a voice director, I have terrible mic technique. Those who can't do direct. So we've actually just broke it down by type. We needed to find a bunch of tieflings, need to find a bunch of elves, and then we sent out very sort of like generic, hey guys, we're making this fantasy thing, casting packs off, and got tips from every actor under the sun in the UK, and then just started finding the ones we liked best.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't actually have a full script when we first started it. I mean, we didn't have anything like a full script. When we started directing the origin characters, we didn't know what their story was at all. We had a vibe for each one, and then we kind of, okay, let's just fulfill this kind of fairly loose brief. And then over the years, as we were working on it, we were like, oh my God, that's what happens to Shadowheart. Just over the years, the story was revealed to us as Larry and were writing it, which was interesting.
But am I right in thinking that they adapted some of the dialogue depending on what the actors were actually giving them?
That does happen more often than you think with evolving games, where once writers hear the words coming out of their performers' mouths, everything gets shaped around that, and suddenly the performances flow more naturally as there's that synergy between the writing and the performance. And our cast brought so much to every single role that it made it a joy for the writers, from what I'm saying.
If you've made it to the epilogue, you might notice that there's a few sort of things that Shadowheart says, for example, which perhaps the actor might have said in interviews, which then got written into the script for the epilogue.
Oh, really? Oh, that's brilliant. I also love the way that you set that up, by the way, saying we sort of didn't know much. I like the idea of that elevator pitch meeting, and they're going, dance, go on. And then you have even more going, a sexy vampire. I'm listening. Tell me more. I can see what else is going.
He wasn't always a sexy vampire, though.
What was he before?
A tiefling before.
Oh, wow.
Mikas Neil, he was red and had big horns. The character, not Neil.
Neil's a very changed guy. Goodness me, okay, so that's super interesting. That kind of insight is what makes these panels really exciting. We get to see all those extra behind the scenes, although judging by some of the reaction, a lot of people are going, yeah, everyone knows that. There's a lot of people here get very passionate about this game because of how just, it's so easy to spread around people. And so, I don't know if this is an easy question to ask, but were you expecting its success during the direction and things like that? No, it's like...
Not at all. I was literally preparing myself for shame. I thought the world was going to be like, what have you been doing for all these years? This is terrible. Why did you make all these choices? And then when it came out, I was like, they like it. That's good. It's a huge relief.
I mean, I thought it would be popular. I did Divinity Original Sin 1 and then lead voice directed and cast on Divinity Original Sin 2. And so... Thanks. But I kind of expected this to be around the same size, but top down, isometric, RPG, fancy game, there's an audience there, it'll be a hoot. But then this all happened, which is not your average day.
I mean, it truly is astounding. And what's really interesting, so I'm going to say 2 years ago, maybe at the end of 2022, I did a panel, a very small panel on the live stage with maybe 30 people in the audience tops, with Neil and Jennifer. Because people have heard of the game, but now look at this. Look how many people are here. And this is a mere tiny percentage of the billions of fans that you guys have across the globe. And not only that, 19 awards for the game and 12 nominations. That is just incredible. And so as these things started coming in more and more and more, do you ever get used to that when you guys are part of such award-winning games? Do you ever go, oh yeah, just another one? I was at 18 now, okay. Or does it always just feel mind-blowing?
I usually sort of think along the lines of adoring applause. I didn't actually have a proper answer to that question, I just wanted to say that line.
Andrew, were you expecting it? No, I didn't expect the success of this game at all. No, it was just, we just sort of turned up for every recording session and had a great time and felt lucky to be doing it and, great interaction with everybody really. So it was a joyful job, but the early release gave some indication back in August 20, was it? That something was special. But, we're some way still to travel. And phenomenal. No, it's just constantly surprising to me just how successful this game is, and how it reaches out to people and how people reach out to it and reach back to us. And I'm so touched by everybody's enjoyment, the way they respect the game, enjoy the game, are inspired by the game. No, it's really, really humbling. Had no idea about it. It's very special, and thank you.
That felt like a lot of acceptance speech 2.0. That was very hard.
I've got another 4.5 minutes to go. Shall we?
Let's just wrap it up there, shall we? Give it up. Well, I mean, let's hear more about the direction. What are some of the challenges that you face while you're directing a game like this? I mean, obviously, building up from the ground up is always going to be a challenge, and helping craft a world through the direction. But what are some of the things that people maybe don't consider that are really, really tough?
This game in particular, this has been said a number of times, but I'm going to say it again, is that almost every single one of our actors did both voice and mocap performance simultaneously. So it wasn't just voice performance, although there was a lot of voice performance in the game. Almost with the exception of the animals.
Yeah, no animals really.
No animals in mocap.
That's the rule.
Yeah, but...
Weren't allowed to stick tentacles on people, we did ask.
Every single one of our, I think on release it was 248 actors. Does that sound about right? So 248 actors.
Good, great.
2,000 characters. So, and every single one of those was, apart from the elements, was voice and mocapped. So we were asking actors to come in and do not just the voice, but also to physically enact their characters at the same time. And as directors, that was incredibly exciting. And as actors, it was very exciting for you as well. But we had a lot of people, a lot of actors who had never done mocap before. So on top of all the normal challenges that come with, creating the world and building it, and being able to sort of paint pictures for, an act and react in a space where you're by yourself and you can't see anything, and you were supposed to be talking to someone but they're not physically there. On top of that, we had all the technical requirements for mocap as well. So we had very specific rules that people had to follow, and our beautiful, wonderful, incredibly talented actors had to keep all of that in their heads at the same time. I know, even you, Neil, even you. I think that was both exciting and a challenge for us as directors and also as the actors as well. And that was unlike any other game I'd ever worked on before. The way that we captured so much dialogue in that kind of format. It was really exciting, and it gave us a lot to think about, and it was really tiring. We were all very tired by the end of it.
Because you worked on as a director on other games and produced other games as well, but also from my research, you've done sound design and sound editing, is that right?
Yes.
Did you do any for this?
No. No.
I was going to get a nice tidbit.
We're going to go that. No.
Yes, that sounded kicking the squirrel. That was all me.
That was me. No. Just a director that. No, my sound design work is mainly for if there's any audible audio drama fans out there, the Sandman audio drama series.
Oh wow!
I was one of the sound designers for that. So that's
No, sorry, I like Sandman.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I've worked on in terms of sound design.
This sounds like a weird question back, but do you think that helps you with directing for things like voices, having done the other roles outside of production, especially when it's going to be something like, obviously mocap has more, but when it's voice recording and things, do you think having a knowledge of sound design and things in any way assists that, or are they kind of unrelated?
It makes me a good technical director, I think. I can really pick up when things technically, vocally, there's vocal issues, or something technical has gone wrong. And also have a good idea of how something will sit in the mix. So having to say to an actor, actually we need this to have more energy, we need this to be louder, because at this point there's going to be music, there's going to be sound effects, there's going to be a hell of a lot going on, and your voice will need to cut through. Because I've worked on very big games like Call of Duty, the Call of Duty series, where everything is shouted, or very shouted. And so, you've always kind of got that ear for actually these things are going on. So that can be a real asset to working, to having a sound knowledge when coming into directing.
A vast array of technical skills. I'd like to come from sort of the directing side over to the acting, so all the way down there.
No, Tilly directed the Dark Urge monologue.
Oh!
That was like the best day ever. It was towards the end of making the game that we heard about the Dark Urge, and we all kind of spent a few weeks in the studio talking to each other, going, what is the Dark Urge? Has anyone figured out what it is yet? And then once we did, I was so excited, obviously being a fan of the series, and no spoilers, but I'm sure lots of you know the conclusion of that story. It was just so much fun, and I remember we just did the whole thing straight through so many times, didn't we?
Yeah, often when you're doing voice acting, you do a line or a couple of lines at a time. Rarely, certainly for the characters I was playing, did you have a big speech. As I said on Twitch, I've been playing Baldur's Gate recently, and there's characters like Gale who do not stop talking. And Gale is fantastic, but most of my dialogue was quite short snippets.
Look at that lead.
And all of a sudden, with that monologue, there's an actual...
We were so excited, I think that's why we were both so excited.
You can actually really get involved in this.
And I remember pushing you to kind of...
Act. It doesn't happen very often.
You always bring the skills, Neil. But that sense of finding that fear in the character, that was really exciting. Just losing control, that was really fun.
People's comments, I mean, you said about people's reaction. You make choices when you're in the booth. When you're on screen, you make choices and you hope and presume that they will make sense in the whole
That they'll translate,
work.
yeah.
And sometimes, to be frank, they don't. And this is one time where we made the choice of going into that fear and playing the vulnerability as opposed to the darkness. It's actually the confusion. And people have really commented about that vulnerability. And so it's a moment where that sort of talk and making those choices work. But as I said, it doesn't always work. But having that sort of reaction on YouTube, there's actually 2 million views for the Dark Urge monologue, where it says this actor deserves a raise. Yes, my agent did email Larry. It didn't seem to make a lot of difference because I've already recorded it by now. Sorry.
Well, actually, Neil, I sort of wanted to ask a couple of other things, because am I right to say you did Tab 5 as well as Dark Urge?
I am Tab 5 and Dark Urge, yes.
Neil's on EXE has stopped responding.
You know what's really strange about the tabs? I was speaking to some fans recently and was trying to work out why do you choose one voice as opposed to another? And some people were saying, well, I create a character that has a certain emotion and a feeling, and therefore you choose a tab voice that goes with that. Others are choosing it because it's there, it almost reflects their own voice or emotion. And I think it was terribly difficult for the tabs because we didn't have things like Astarion, etc., where you have a character, you have a picture. Because it's customizable, you almost have to give these lines that will work in the situation, but that will work for anyone playing. And to be frank, it's really quite tricky, and really tricky for the directors to therefore decide on what takes worked and what didn't. So yeah, I think the tabs did a marvellous job.
Now, that's incredibly true. Because you're all clearly big fans of Baldur's Gate 3, is everyone aware of TAV, meaning player character? Yes? Does everyone know where the term TAV came from? Well, that's not... Cheer if you don't know. So would one of you like to explain for people? Because there's an actual backstory to it.
Dog? I mean, I know the real reason, I'm not sure what it... You tell your bit and I'll let you know if it's true.
Is that how it's works? I know, you say it first though.
Okay.
So what I've got here is it's a short name for Gustav.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, is this real?
Yeah.
I haven't been duped by Reddit, have I? They still look like an idiot on stage. So after the CEO, Sven Vicky's dog.
Yeah, 100%, it was Sven's dog, yeah.
Isn't that sweet? So there's a little bit of Gustav in all of us.
It was one of our code names for the project was Gustav the entire time.
I read that as well.
We still call it Gustav. We don't
Internally, it's still Gustav.
Really? We say Baldur's Gate 3.
Our group chat is just like Gustav.
Really?
Yeah.
And when it came out, people called it, or made up, said it was Tadpole Adventurer.
Yes.
Was that made up by the fans, or was that actually something that Larian put out?
I mean, it's a good name, and it makes a lot more sense.
It does make sense, but I didn't hear about that until after it came out.
I can tell you it's all over IMDb. Because then, like, upon doing my research, it would have clearly the same character, but they're called 3 different things depending on the sources, which means, yeah, must have started as a fan thing, then an official name for it has sort of come out at some point. But it was quite interesting hearing you talk about your direction with Tilly on the Dark Urge monologue, because the thing I'd like to ask, especially for those of you who did do some voices, is what's the most memorable bit of directing that you had throughout your time on the game?
Well, with all the directors here, it's rather hard to pinpoint one being better than another.
It's not necessarily better, but it's not specific. We once interviewed one of the girls from Game of Thrones whose character was set on fire, and the director said to her, "Shout cucumber if it's too warm." And you're going to remember that for the rest of your life, even if it's not deep and meaningful, but you're sort of going, okay. Was there anything like that, or even like a particular, less emotional?
I've got a line my favourite line that I gave, and it's to one of the goblins. This is very early on, so this is from 2020 at some point, and it was in Act 1, and a goblin, you are not going to come across this unless you go and find it, but there was a group of goblins urinating into a pool, and one of the actors, and I said to her, could you do this line like you're squeezing the last drops out? And she did. And it was amazing. It was amazing. That's probably I've got some there were sessions with, there's a session with Neil Newman where he cried and I cried. It was a very, very emotional scene, so that whole day will be memorable. But can you do the next take like you're squeezing the last drops out? It's probably one of my favourite tricks.
Kirsty, that's exactly what we're looking for. Does anyone else have anything similar to that from their time?
So weird, because I did one like, can you push one out? And they did it, and no, I didn't. I never did that. But I have spotted. Is that Renna in the audience? Okay, she might not want me to say this, but I may have spotted Auntie Ethel. I'm sorry, Renna. Sorry. Hello, dear. Maybe I'll mention an Auntie Ethel session. I could.
Be nice.
Well, I think you'll like this in good humour. We did a session, I cannot remember what particular bit of dialogue it was, but it was the end of a long day, and myself and movement director Aliona, we both gave you a note, and they were kind of, two different notes, and you said, I'm sorry, darlings, you're going to have to pick one. So we just went with one of the notes, I can't remember what it was, and I can't remember the dialogue, but we love you. Woo! Sorry.
Does anyone else, George, any memorable direction, even if it's something that actually really helped pull a performance from you?
I can remember the wonderful director sitting to my left, Beth here, taking one of my sessions as I was doing Roland. And I think it's very interesting. I think I'm the only goblin here, aren't I? Is anyone? I did do goblin.
I am also a goblin.
Thank you. Because two people representing the goblin community is fantastic. Because sometimes, they're trying to. We do the lines, we do the Roland lines that we've got for the session. Beth goes, hang about. We've still got 5 minutes to squeeze out of this guy. Let's get a bit of booyah piddle going. And so then you have to go from one character, quite different, the tiefling, high status, elegant, refined, to a low status character. And sometimes we would watch a few clips from the other character to get you back into it. But I think after one of those sessions, Beth rightly said to me, "Dear me, goodness me," I'm paraphrasing, "Dear me, my oh my, such range you have." And if I remember correctly, and I think I do, you compared me directly with Dame Judi Dench.
I'm sorry, George, but Beth said that to all of us. It's just her inspiration.
I don't know if Beth has anything to...
Well, the only thing I can say is I think you might have repeated that story back to me over 10 or 15 times, so I believe it to be true, or perhaps you have just mentioned the fact that I compared you to Dame Judy so many times.
So you don't remember it, Beth. You've just heard it so many times from George, it is now true.
He's accepted the idea.
No, it's 100% true. I always trust a redhead.
Dame George Taylor, I like it. Andrew, anything that you sort of really have memorable from your time directing, or being directed? Anything that really sticks?
I suppose the most memorable, well, it's difficult to say, but one of the most memorable sessions was the Harlop session, which was, oh no, don't. No, look at me going now, don't. I have to change. No, it was, I spent most of it on my knees, I just remember. I can't remember who directed it. Was it? No, but as I said, but just, if it gets too painful, just tell us. So what are you going to ask me to do? I didn't know which way I was facing half the time. But there was meant to be a bed in the studio. Let me assure you, there was nothing resembling a bed. This wasn't even like the Archers, where at least there is a sofa bed in the studio. Did we have some cushions at least? What? We have some cushions at least on the floor?
Definitely had some crash.
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. I pushed
Our ability to push together
but
something
there was
very...
certainly no mattress. And, well, I was raw. So that was probably the most memorable experience. Carpet burns.
Sorry? Carpet burns. Don't ask me to repeat it.
Body joke again, so everyone.
They were not carpet burns.
Tim, other than the dark urge, anything from you at all? It's you know, you got one line that you had to say to someone as part of directing that's really stuck with you or anything.
I don't know that I have a direction that I remember, but I distinctly remember a session